Let's make this video to, as one does, predict the quarter in FEH. Specifically, I'm looking at the banners and who I think will be on it as the new characters. And I'm just going to give myself a point system and see how well I do. I'm currently at 0. And this is something that I want to continue doing, these long-term predictions that I can take throughout the quarter. Again, starting the year in February, because that's the anniversary. And take them through the quarter and see how well I can do with that. Starting off with May, I already made the Fallen video prediction, the Fallen banner prediction video, and those will be the same results, but I still want to round out the month. So FEH is going to be our first May Resplendent hero, but in addition to her, we're getting the Bridal banner. And this is one of the harder ones for me to guess. I never really know where they're going with it, and I still don't know the point or the theme to this banner. So this is just a lot of guesswork. But I'm staying in the ballpark of Fire Emblem 4 and Awakening duo banner, because they haven't shared a banner before that I can think of, and they are related games to an extent. Going back into that banner, I think that Arya is a great pick. We just got her son added to the game, and they made a big deal about who was her father, and I think that could be another gag they do in the future, and her bridal alt would be someone that could now play into that gag. On Awakening's side, I think we'll bring in Severa, largely because Cordelia was one of our first bridal units, and Severa sort of has the whole personality of, like, she would hate the clothes, she would hate the concept, and she's also a popular character that only got one alt. For the D mode of this banner, I'm going with Churchy, or Church, I don't exactly know the pronunciation still, but a character long overdue for an ult, and someone people really like. I don't think the bridal theme fits her personality all that well, but I do think that's something the Fire Emblem heroes would do. And for the Harmonic hero, it could technically be a duo. We've seen months where it doesn't cycle, but I'm going Harmonic this time. And I picked Olivia and Deirdre, because I think they would be kind of a funny pair to put up. I mean, everyone's kind of thinking Olivia and Azura will get a Harmonic eventually, but I still think that that could happen with Olivia in the background, and if she's in the lead of this one. And the reason that I picked Olivia and Deirdre is because Deirdre is the canonical spouse of Sigurd. Doesn't matter what you do, that's how that happens. And it's a little convoluted, but Chrom is inferred to be a lot like Sigurd, and you can tell from their characters that they're pretty similar people. And if you choose to pair Chrom and Olivia up, then they have a similar romance or love story. And beyond that, Heroes has towed the line with Chrom and Olivia before, as his warriors, and I don't think that IS will be too shy to give a little bit of attention to it, but they don't need to actually confirm it or anything. I mean, their conversation doesn't need to have anything to do with their spouses, because even if they're in the dresses, they don't need to talk about that. They can talk about how they feel about the clothing or whatever festival they're going to or whatever. And that could be really funny due to Deirdre's compassionate personality and Olivia being a really shy person until she's in her element. And we might be able to see that shift in the conversation. Most likely not. It'll most likely play up the whole shy and meek thing that they seem to have forgotten the parts of Olivia where she literally escorts an army out of enemy territory, but that is a complaint for another time. For the free unit, I think we're getting Inigo, which would mark the second time that Owain's two best friends were on a banner without him. And my favorite part about Inigo potentially making it as a bridal ult could be how they play up his flirtatious personality and his groom look. So I really don't think they would want to miss that opportunity to show his flirtations as well as his embarrassment and shyness, and then maybe even mix in the self-doubt that underlies both of those emotions. Alright, and after that, I think our resplendent hero would be Sigurd. He would be from Muspel, because again, he's said to be like Chrom, or kind of the other way around, actually. And then for our legendary hero, I think we would be finally getting Xander. There are a few more candidates. It's not like he's our last choice, but I really do think he's overdue anyway. All right, and that will wrap up May. Going into June, this is another one that some of the work is done for me, because with Fire Emblem Three Hopes coming out, I do think that June will start off with that banner as our story banner, and it'll be the exact same thing they did for Three Houses, where the characters are their early game versions, so they don't get, or right after the time skip versions, so they might spoil some of the general Three Houses stuff, but they won't spoil Three Hopes stuff. And the banner will be comprised of the exact same, the three House Lords in their new getup, and then Shez, probably female Shez, so an even gender split with 2 and 2. And then I think that the GHB could finally be Talus, and it wouldn't be too out of place, because while I do have the theory that he's related to Shez in some way, mostly a Byleth and Rhea analogy, I don't think that that's going to matter, because what's more important is none of us are going to question it, at first at least. I mean, Talus is one of the final major villains from Three Houses that's not in the game. He might have an appearance in Three Hopes, and if he's the GHB, by June we might get another trailer. So I'm comfortable saying that. For the Resplendent Hero, I think we would get Long Q. And it's hard to say exactly where I think he would be from, because they could go with his hometown. We know that Consin is a very sophisticated place, a very culturally strong place as well. But he doesn't always identify with that place ever since what happened in his past. So I think we might get Hell, because there is that death and that hurt in his past. And also, he's sort of our Navarre-esque character, the swordsman with a... He's not that dark, but he's the closest Awakening has, and I think that archetype fits well for that theme. For the first summer banner, we're getting our duo hero, so I'm going with a one-game banner. And it's totally wishful thinking. But it's also a little bit realistic, because the summer banners are some of my least favorites, personally. Summer and then the winter ones as well are the ones I like the least, typically. But I've been waiting for Tokyo Mirage Sessions characters to join the game ever since their first banner proving that they could come. It's been a few years now, and I'm thinking that they're going to sweep this banner. Itsuki as a character on there, Tsubasa and Kiria as a duo, because they're good friends, they'll have a lot of content to talk about, looking up to each other and whatnot. The way they look up to each other and value each other's careers so much, I think, could make for a great duo hero. And I think that's also where we're getting our first introduction to Toma as the demote unit. He's got such a cool getup, it would be kind of a shame to see him enter as just a summer unit, but I'd be happy to have him. I don't think they would pass up the opportunity to put the President Mako, in the summer outfit. And then for a demote unit, I really want to say Barry, the team's athletic coach. I think that there's no better time to introduce him than getting everybody summer ready for their whatever shoots they'll have, as this is a idol-based game. My guess is that this time around they'll be using their weapons, and they might not change weapons. They might, still be sword and lance, whatever they naturally are, but Itsuki won't be using his Mirage Falchion, or literally Sword Crom. Instead, he'll have learned the sword fighting from battling with Crom. Like, it'll be committed to his muscle memory or something like that. Just a jokey excuse to put them in with funnier versions of their weapon, like a sea fish, like a swordfish that they typically do for summer. And it'll also be a way to make Maiko fighting alongside Itsuki make sense, because now Itsuki isn't wielding Crom, he's just wielding a sword as a regular human. It'll also help them avoid putting Crom in almost every month of this game. And lastly, it'll make the duo hero that I guessed of Tsubasa and Kiria not be so clunky and crowded with 4 characters in their artwork, because Shida and Tharja won't be here. They'll just be the humans, not the Mirages. Alright, so for our Resplendent, it will have nothing to do with that. I am guessing we'll get La Rochelle, and she'll come in Nidiovalier, or the Dwarven Kingdom's clothing, because they already gave her the mad scientist sort of get up for Halloween, so I think they might go with that theme of her being, like, weirdly tech savvy for her time period. which Nidavellir accomplishes. And then our mythic will take it right back to the beginning of June, where we get a Varl on the mythic banner and Male Shez joining the game, or joining the summonable pool, if he came the same way Male Byleth did, with joining as a free character for whoever buys the game and then joining the pool there. Which takes us to July. July starts off with the second half of the summer banners, and this one's a harmonic, so I am doing a banner split of 3 games, which is the most I think I've seen them do. There might have been 4 in there before, but I think 3 is our max. And for this one, I thought they might put in another Felix from 3 houses. If 3 Hopes is getting love and Dimitri's getting another alt, I think it might be time for Felix to get in something other than his Santa Claus outfit. And again, join in one of my other least favorite themes. But I'd be happy to just get a Sword Felix that actually feels like I'm playing as Felix in Heroes. And for the duo unit, or harmonic unit, which will also have the other and last 3 houses character, I think they'll put Monica with Air. And it would be a great conversation because Air understands death and is calm about it in a way that most people aren't. And Monica, this is from the 3 houses timeline, dies early on. We don't know what happens with 3 Hopes yet. But I think that Monica and Air meeting and Monica knowing what happens to her shortly before the game, like a year before the game starts, could be a very interesting conversation for them to have. And so the demote would also be from Heroes, and I think that it might be Sharena. She does have a similar summer getup in Cypher, and she was absent from the Day of Devotion banner a year ago, so maybe this is how she makes her comeback. And then the last game that I picked was Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I know they just got a banner recently, but I think that they could give us a free Heather, and the last banner character could be Nephany, and they would just be a joy. A lot of fun with some funny dialogue back and forth. They've got a really quick and brief, but I know it's adored by some of the fans, relationship in Radiant Dawn, and they could play that up and actually give them more time to meet and talk and actually confirm that Heather's into Nephany, and probably likewise based off of what we saw in Radiant Dawn. I don't know if they would, but Fire Emblem's getting more comfortable with the concept, it seems, and it would probably mean a lot to their fans. And it was already kind of almost there in Radiant Dawn, so it's not like they'd be stretching anything or really surprising most people, I don't think. So I don't see why they want it. And for an extra Splendent, I thought maybe we could get Mist. She did just have an ult, but her unit kind of isn't great. And Ike got his Resplendent so long ago. I'm still kind of waiting for Sorin, but Mist would be a cool pick too, and I think that she really fits the Light Fairy theme, and I really don't know how to say, I don't know how to say the region name still, but the Light Fairies. For our new heroes for the month, I think we could get an early Fire Emblem 7 focus. And so for that, I thought we might finally see Kent and Sane come, and then maybe Will as well, which that would be 3 men on a banner, which we don't usually get. But they have sort of a tie together, being friends of Lyn in the first part of the game, and they're pretty popular for characters that aren't in the game yet. For the GHB, I picked Vita, who, honestly, I just think should have been in the game by now. I don't know what else to say. So, I could definitely be wrong there, but she just feels like she should be part of the game to me. And then Rebecca, for the Ascendant hero. Her story doesn't start with the others, but she feels kind of tied to that group, and she does have a paired ending with both Sane and Will, as well as Lowen. But in any of those 3 endings, or in her solo ending, she becomes a retainer to Eliwood. So no matter what happens, she'll end up in the same place, and her potential son, or her son, Wold, could be referenced in her own story. Maybe the father's being discussed and talked about as friends, but she doesn't know who she's going to end up with, and whatever, they don't try to confirm any, pairings and heroes, but they have lightly done it. They've danced around the idea. So we even could see something like Ascendant Rebecca knowing that she ends up with Will, Sane, or Lowen but a confirmation from Wolt that that is only this timeline and is not necessarily going to be true for every timeline. They did it with Said, so I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, except that Said it's specifically canon sometimes. So I know it's a little bit stronger, but Heroes has played with the fact that yes, there are multiple realities, so sometimes things are canon to certain versions of the characters. I mean, Crom's the character that I know best, but Crom and Robin is a possible choice, but there's a time where male Morgan confirms he's not Crom's son, and again, that's only that male Morgan. It's not true for every Crom and every Robin and every Morgan. But Heroes has been willing to confirm that, this version of a character doesn't end up with this timeline of a character. So again, I think Ascendant Rebecca could come, and it wouldn't have to break any rules or objectively confirm something as canon. Just if it did, it would still be done in a way that it is only canon for this timeline's Rebecca or this version of her. If I had to make my pick, I would just say Will. That's kind of basic, but sometimes that's okay with me. For my Resplendent guess, I'm saying Virion. I thought he was coming as early as April, and now I'm saying he's coming in July. But July feels better for him anyway, for some reason. And I actually think that he would be an Emblem character. I think just because of that reveal that he's actually a Duke, and it didn't come out of nowhere, but it kind of came out of nowhere, and it felt surprising, but not bad. Like, it wasn't, it didn't feel like he was betraying you or anything like that. And so I think that him wearing Emblem clothes is sort of fitting for him. Like, he would wear clothes from the enemy nation. And for the legendary hero of the month of July, again, might not be legendary because they can double up if they want to, but I'm keeping it simple. I think we're getting legendary Ninian. We're getting a lot of Fire Emblem 7 stuff already, if I'm right. And she's kind of the fourth main character behind the box art trio and the route trio that are actually the main characters. She's sort of next on the totem pole. So I think now that we're kind of running out of legendaries, or obvious legendaries at least, she's someone who would be fitting for the role. Alright, so up here are my 3-month guesses of May, June, and July. And again, over the course of these next 3 months, I am excited to see where I go wrong in this. Thank you a bunch, and until next time.